Welcome back. Welcome to the first official fishing trip on, have yet to name her. We'll figure out a name at some point. I'm open to suggestions. Drop them in the comments below if you have any ideas. But yeah, it's Monday afternoon. Got off work a little early, so I am out here to break in the boat. Let's get some stuff figured out. Started the trip off by forgetting to put the drain plug in. And I realized that after the boat had been in the water for about 2 or 3 minutes and I was pulling the trailer away. So I parked the truck and the trailer real quickly and hurried back over and then put the plug in. So there's a few gallons of water in the bottom of the boat, but you know, I mean, I don't think anybody who's got a new boat has not had that happen at least once. So I will do a better job of that in the future. But yeah, we're gonna get after it. Getting a little surprise here. So for those who don't know, CH53, I'm not sure which model, but one of my favorite choppers. They flew on a civilian or a contractor one in Afghanistan on the way in to the patrol base that I was on for my second deployment. Plus the Marine Corps and the Navy are the only ones that fly those, so they're one of my favorite choppers. But it looks like we are about to get some rain here. I know it's kind of hiding behind that trees, but thunder's been rocking and rolling here the last few minutes, and so I may have to put the cameras away. Definitely got to put this camera away, so might keep the GoPro out. We'll see. No luck yet, but I just tied on a bladed jig on this rod. So water's super muddy still from all that the storms that we had the last few days. So it's gonna be slow going if we do catch anything, but hey, I'm out on the water in my new boat, so honestly I don't really care if we don't catch anything. There we go. I can see it a little better. May get rained on. We'll see. Don't really care. It's like 80 something degrees right now, so a little rain would feel pretty good, honestly. It's a dink, and it popped off. Just gonna weigh it for posterity. 1 pound, 4 ounces. All right, that is officially fish number 1, new boat. Got him Got him on the same lure that I got one of those good ones in one of the last videos, the Googan Baits Hummer. If you can see that okay, just their buzz bait. I've caught more fish on this buzz bait than I have on this buzz bait in 2 trips than I have on my other buzz baits for the last 2 years. Whether it's black, whether it's, yeah, I don't know. It's working though. All right, I am losing daylight here. Had to pull the GoPro off and get the navigational lights going. I'm gonna keep fishing out around this point over here behind me for now. Keep throwing that buzzbait, see if I can get anything else. And so if you don't see me again, see me at the truck once I get the boat loaded up. Hopefully this shows up okay. Just had a really bad thunderstorm come through, so I am currently sheltered under somebody's dock. The boat is out there with some really bad lightning, and I couldn't even move at all. It was so bad I couldn't see even when I throttled down real low. I know the audio probably sounds terrible. I'm on my phone, of course. Cameras in the boat, safe and dry. But yeah, hopefully this is gonna blow over soon. And I'm still a little ways away from the ramp, and I am completely drenched. So yeah, what a not maiden voyage, but first fishing outing. It's the doozy, but we're good. We're safe. We're undercover. We're out of the metal boat, so we're good. We're good. I'll check back in later. Good morning, everybody. I'm out here. I'm gonna get it all uncovered. The cover is still in back order, so I ordered a tarp on Amazon the week I bought it, so we could make sure we keep it nice and covered up. So I'm gonna go ahead and get over here and get her uncovered. So when we picked it up, the whole boat was, like, the inside of all the compartments were pretty wet. I think it had probably been outside while it was at the dealership. So the deck was mostly dry, but the inside of the compartments is all super wet. After last week where we had that big storm, yeah, a lot of water in the boat from that one. So yeah, that was fun. So still been trying to get it dry out, like having it uncovered throughout the day to let it air out, but it's still, like, all the way down to the bottom of those compartments still super wet. So last night I came out here and set up my dehumidifier inside of it. And the tank was full, and I came out this morning after it just running overnight. So hopefully it's actually helping to dry out down inside these compartments somewhat. Oh yeah, definitely. It's still wet, but it's a lot drier than it used to be. So, but we're gonna get this tarp taken off here real quick. All right, there we go, all uncovered. Yeah, I got some new rods in there. I have 3 new rods that I have bought over the course of the last couple months, kind of as not only as a way to build the arsenal on the boat, but I've held off on using them. Have not used any of them yet because I didn't want to take them on the John boat and risk. I mean, John boat's not horribly rough on them, but it's certainly nowhere near as gentle on them as them being actually stored in the nice rod lockers that are on this boat. They get banged around on the John boat. There is a substantial difference in rods that have been on my John boat and rods that have not been. So it's just a fact of life when you have a small boat and there's no real good place to keep them on there. So that's okay. They're fishing rods. As long as they catch fish, it doesn't matter what they look like, right? And I'm just gonna go ahead and put this dude in there right now before I forget, like we did last time. And I look like an idiot. All right, I'm gonna get a few things stowed. Obviously, I pulled everything that was down in those compartments. I've pulled out and is just airing out on the deck. So I gotta get all this stuff put back in, and then I've got to tie on some stuff on these new rods. I think I've actually got like 4 or 5 rods in here that don't have anything on them currently, because yesterday when I spooled up the 3 new ones, I also re-spooled the rod that I usually throw that buzz bait on. I messed it up, got a pretty good tangle last week that I had to cut out. And then I had taken that buzz bait off that rod and put it on a different rod. So then I cut it off that rod and put it back on the rod that I like to have it on. So I think I have 5 rods that have, well, maybe just 4. I think I did go ahead and tie the buzz bait back on. So 4 rods. I have 4 rods I need to pick something to tie on to. But we'll get to that in a minute. First, I'm gonna clean up all this mess real quick. All cleaned up. So for now, I am gonna run, my shadow's on the way, I hope you can see all right. So I've got pretty much all my lures, plastics, hard baits, everything's all in this locker. You can't hardly see because of the sun, but all of it's in this compartment here, which is not hydraulic, but the space works really well for those boxes. So that's gonna be here. And then for now, I don't really have a lot in here. I think that's gonna be where I keep my camera case for sure though. So I think regardless of what I do end up putting in there full time, that's gonna be one of the things that stays in there, or goes in there. I do still have these 2, that one right there and the one on that side that have nothing in them right now. So I'll probably expand things in there at some point. I'll figure out what works. I changed layouts in the John boat several times over the 2 years I had it, so I'm sure that will happen for this one as well. And this one is hydraulic though, so it's kind of nice to hold open and get out of the way. Go ahead and close those up. So I'll just show you the rods real quick. The first one I got was this Lew's. It's a Lew's combo that I bought at Bass Pro. And that was the first one that I bought. It's for people who care, it's a Custom XP speed stick, and it is a medium heavy fast 7-foot rod. So this is gonna be basically my second, this will give me 2 primary soft plastic rods, but it'll also give me another casting rod that has 30-pound braid on it for if I want to throw some topwater stuff or just anything else that I want to have braid on to throw. I only had 2 other rods. One had 30-pound braid and my frogging rod had 50-pound braid on it. So, and I know I'm not primarily a fishing channel, so a lot of people that watch our videos probably aren't super nerdy about fishing stuff like I can be. But the basics, there's 3 different kinds of line. There's monofilament, fluorocarbon, and braid. Monofilament has little stretch, but it floats. Fluorocarbon has a lot more stretch and it sinks. Braid has almost 0 stretch, but very, very, very durable. I like throwing, I don't use monofilament at all. A lot of people do. And there's a lot of, everybody has different opinions on what line to throw on what baits and so on and so forth. Generally speaking, you don't want to throw fluorocarbon on a topwater bait because the line sinks and it can pull the nose of the bait down, which, causes problems. So braid or monofilament, I just don't really like monofilament that much. Haven't used it a lot. So I am primarily use braid with fluorocarbon. So, and the braid also, it's the diameter of braided line like this. The diameter of this compared to fluorocarbon or monofilament, this is much smaller but also stronger. So like this is 30-pound braid. If I was using 30-pound fluorocarbon on this, it would be probably about double the width that it is. So you get a lot more out of braid as far as how much line you can fit on there. And it's just, braid is also extremely sensitive because it has zero stretch. So if you're fishing like a soft plastic Texas rig down in the bottom, that extra sensitivity, which part of that is in the rod as well, the design of the rod and how nice the rod is. But the braid also transfers what is happening. You can feel the bottom, feel what's going on down there, feel if you're getting hit, stuff like that. So I like braid for pretty much anything that I'm throwing a slow finesse presentation, soft plastics on the bottom. I throw all that on braid. So all that to say, this gives me a second rod for doing that, or throwing other stuff like top water that I want to have braid rod on. With a pretty medium speed reel, I think. Where is it? Yeah, 7.5 gear ratio on this one, so fairly average, although maybe a little on the high end. And then these rods are both 6 gill, which I have never owned any 6 gill products, but these were on sale, and a lot of people that I read online seem to like them a lot. They're good quality products, so decided to give them a shot for the price that they were. This is a 7'3" medium heavy with a high gear ratio reel, and this is going to be for, it also has 50-pound braid on it, and it just happens to be red because I bought red one time thinking that would be a way of differentiating between my 30-pound and my 50-pound. Thought behind this one is for jigs and just big deep plastics, or big soft plastics, anything out deep, big jigs, big worms, stuff like that. In the summertime when you're trying to get out really deep, because the bass are down where it's colder. So bigger, beefier rod, heavier line to, stand up to setting a hook on a fish that might be in 20-30 feet of water. So that's the idea behind that rod. And then the second one is a 7.6 heavy with a very low gear ratio reel, and a little bit smaller and lighter rod, or heavier rod rather, excuse me, a heavier rod. And that is going to be for throwing crankbaits on. I have not had a dedicated crankbait rod before. And I also have 8-pound fluorocarbon on that reel, which is very light line. I actually never throw anything that light, but a lot of people who I respect and have, watched them on YouTube, they say go lighter, that 8 to 10 pound test fluorocarbon for crankbaits, because crankbaits need to dive, like a diving crankbait needs to dive down, and the heavier the line is, the less depth you can get out of that bait. So if it's say a 10 to 15 foot diving crankbait and you're throwing it on 12-pound fluorocarbon like what I usually do, I'm not getting it down to that depth. And also I've been throwing it on like a 6.5 or 7 foot rods, which means I can't throw it as far, which means it has less time to get down to the depth that it's supposed to be running at before, I'm pulling it back up because it's at the boat. So nice long rods, 7.6 heavy rod to really whip that thing out there, and then 8-foot line, or 8-pound test line, which will not only allow me to cast it farther, but it's lighter weight, less resistance in the water as it's diving. So all those things combined should work out. I've never caught a bass on a diving crankbait. I caught a catfish on one last year, but crankbaits are one of those things that I have a ton of them. I got a bunch from my grandfather, a lot of stuff from him when he passed away a few years ago, and he had a very extensive crankbait collection, I should say. But I throw them a lot, just never caught anything on them. So hopefully having a better suited rod and reel for throwing crankbaits will help me get into that a little bit better. But sorry, if you don't care about fishing and you just wanted to skip past all that, that's fine. If you were bored sitting here listening to me explain all that stuff, I apologize. But if there are some of you guys who would like to see me go more in depth with my whole arsenal and what I throw and why I use the speeds that I use, and what line I'm throwing, what lures I'm throwing on that specific rod setup, drop a comment and tell me. I'm happy. I'll sit on this boat and do gear reviews all day now. So anyway, I've been talking for a while. Until next time, see you guys later.